Tom Jones here from P6 Biz Builders. So you may think everybody would like to have non-chaos in their life. Wouldn't you like it if you're just your week ago like this? Just nice, even line, everything went great, nothing wrong happened. I'll be honest, here's the majority of most business owners. The week starts like this, and it goes 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 backwards, and it comes in, it goes, you end up being all over the place. Everybody thinks that's just the way it is when you run business, but it doesn't need to be that way. Let me give you a real life example. Mike, contracting client, called me. He wants commercial client cleaning company, does 1.2 million annually. Great numbers, right? Well, here's what his Monday looked like. 5:30 a.m. emergency call, crew didn't show up. 6:45, scrambling to find a replacement crew while he drives to the site himself to make sure it's covered. 9 a.m., client threatens to cancel the contract if this happens again, or if his staff doesn't show up. All of a sudden, 10:30, he's out of the contract site. 10:30, he realizes payroll taxes are due today, and he hasn't calculated them yet. 12 p.m., equipment breaks down at another job site, no backup plan. 12:15, he discovers he's been underbilling a client for 3 months. How's that going to look when you go back and try to bill a client for 3 months' work? 4 o'clock, 3 employees quit via text. 6:30 p.m., still at the office, missed the daughter's recital again. If this is your exact situation or something similar for you, hear me out. Mike told me, Tom, I'm making money more than I've ever dreamed of, but I feel like I'm drowning every single day. Here's what Mike didn't realize. What a lot of businesses don't realize. Every single one of those problems is preventable. Not with luck, not with better employees, and not with working 100 hours a week. You need to have the right systems. Let me tell you what chaos is really costing you. I bet you've never calculated this. Here's direct cost of chaos. Emergency overtime, 2,000 hours per month, because he didn't have crew show up. Now he had to find people, ended up paying overtime. Rush fees or expedited services because there wasn't planning done to get the materials to the job or whatever else. You've lost customers because of the mistakes, because they'll never do work with you again, even though they were a consistent client. Rework or corrections. So you have to actually go back out, rework the job, correct what was done. It can cost you $3,000 a month. Some more hidden costs of chaos. I'm sorry, these are hidden costs. Those were direct costs. Those were actually dollars out of your pocket. Here's the hidden cost. What's your time worth? Should be worth $300 more per hour, that you can have somebody doing $20 an hour work. And what I mean by that is that business owners shouldn't be worried about payroll taxes. It should be taken care of by a staff person. You shouldn't have to worry about whether something's unbilled or not. It should be able to be done by a staff person. All those opportunities missed while you're firefighting. Imagine that. You heard his Monday chaos. What if he didn't have that chaos and he spent money just looking for new jobs? Imagine how much more revenue he could have within the company. Employee turnover, constant stress, because you don't have the systems in place for your employees to actually understand what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. Because you're so stressed, your health and your relationships are deteriorating. I've heard it many times. A lot of business owners, they end up being divorced because their wife says, you're never around, you're never here to help, you don't go to your kids' stuff and everything else. And if the business is depending 100%, so we ran the numbers, me and Mike ran the numbers, found out the chaos was costing him $186,000 a year. So he thought he had a good business, where he saw that number and he goes, geez, I could have had a great business. That's a lot of money. That's more than most people can make in their careers if they're only working part-time. But here's a beautiful part. Here's why I'm so passionate about this. You can literally flip this around in 90 days. Not with some complicated MBA strategy, not by hiring expensive consultants. You can use my 4-step path from chaos to clarity. Safe system that helped Mike gain back 15 hours per week, increase his profit margins by 23%. And this is the best part, take his first real vacation in the last 4 years. What he also found out is that he didn't have to work until 10 o'clock every night. He was able to get back, do some of his stuff with his kids. So let me introduce this to you. Here's my 4-step path that's transformed hundreds of businesses, not hundreds of businesses that I've done. I've done, many businesses, but not hundreds. So most business owners are so busy fighting fires, they never stop to see the patterns. Your assignment this week, every time you think, why is this happening again? Write it down. Don't try to fix it. Just capture it. Make a list. This happened again. This happened again. This happened again. Common chaos patterns that I've seen with working with clients, they're chasing payments every month. This client hasn't paid me. And you're chasing that same client down every month, explaining the same process to employees over and over again. Whereas if you had a system documentation, you could just give them the sheet saying, here's your directions. Come, if you don't understand, then come to me with questions. Scrambling from project details months ago. You did a project. Where is it at? Why isn't it onboarding with your staff and with your clients correctly? Emergency supply runs out because you ran out of materials. And of course, I just mentioned it just a minute ago, client confusion about what's included in your service. The key, if it's happened more than twice, it's a system waiting to be built. Step 2, categorize by impact. Not all chaos is created equal. Some fires burn down the house, others just smoke up the kitchen. Look, categorize in 3 steps. high impact chaos, low impact chaos, and those two. I'm sorry, it was only two. High impact chaos, low impact chaos. High impact chaos. Fix these first. Anything that directly costs you money. So we went back to that example, all those direct costs, $3,000 a month overtime, rush fees, any of that. Anything that costs you money out of your pocket, fix those. Anything that makes your customers unhappy. Because as most business owner knows, yes, you can do advertising, but the best client has always been come from a customer referral. If they're not happy, they're not going to refer you to anybody. In fact, you might even get a bad word of mouth where you can't get any customers. Also, anything that happens daily, if you keep running the same thing every day, fix it. Anything that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. Those are 4 examples of high impact chaos that you should fix first. Low impact chaos, annoying but doesn't cost much. Something that rarely happens, but it may drive you a little nuts, but it rarely happens, so you don't really need to fix that. And easy workarounds exist. So if there's an easy workaround, that's a low impact. So Mike's case, his high impact list was crew scheduling chaos, costing him about $8,000 a month in overtime. What happened was they weren't standardizing when projects need different staff people. Client billing errors. Well, not only client billing errors, but just trying to catch up on unbilled stuff, but it ended up costing him like $3,000 a month. Equipment failures, costing $5,000 much, and rush replacements. We tackled these 3 first. Everything else can wait. Those were the highest impact, costing him the most money, causing him the most stress. Step 3, create simple systems. This is where most people overcomplicate things. They try to build NASA level systems for corner store problems. What that means is they're trying to make a system that's perfect instead of just a system that can be implemented. My 3 document rule, every system needs exactly 3 things. A checklist, which is a step-by-step process anyone can follow. The template, pre-built format that speeds things up. The trigger, what automatically starts this process. So like Mike's case, crew didn't show up, customer was happy. What's your template and what's your checklist to get that done? So trigger, here's a new trigger. The new client contract, sign the checklist. Enter client requirements in the scheduling software. So the client, you and both the client have agreed on the onboarding, what's going to happen. You say, here's where I'm going to schedule my crew. Get that done. Get it in your scheduling software right away. Assign a primary and backup crew. So you have that bolt in the system already. And you have set automated reminders to your crew 24 hours before. And then you create that backup plan for sick calls. So-and-so calls in sick, or this person calls in sick. Who's the backup plan? What's the backup? And the big thing, update your client to who the crew leader is so that they can call a crew leader and say, what's going on instead of them calling you directly. They know who the crew leader is so that that job can be worked on. And the template, of course, is standardized crew assignment with all the necessary details. So you've got the template, what needs to be done with each job. You put your crew leader in there, what crew's going to work on there, when we're going to do the jobs. What happened when Mike installed all this? He ended up having zero no-show incidents in the next 6 months. And his overtime costs dropped 80% because he wasn't rushing to get jobs done because his crew wasn't informed as to where they should be. The 4th step in this system is commit to consistency. This is where most business owners fail. They build great systems, but they don't use them. The truth, a system that's used 80% of the time is better than perfect used 20% of the time. Sorry, my door just opened because my dog just decided to visit. So my implementation strategy, start with one system. First document where your problems are every day, then fix it. Decide on the one that you're going to fix. Use it for 30 days and then refine it based on what ends up happening in the real world. Once you feel comfortable with it, move on to the next one. And that's the thing with systems. They're not set in stone. You work them, like in this example, use them for 30 days, figure out what's worked, what's didn't, then modify that system. Something's going to come down along the line and that system's going to end up having to change again. So don't just say that this system's perfect, but 80% is better than perfect. Once you do that for the 30 days, move on to that next system. Again, we talked about this last week. Don't try to fix everything all at once. That's just organized chaos. Fix one thing, move on to the next. Now, let me ask you something. Type this in the chat for me. What's the one thing in your business that makes you think, why is this happening again every single week or even every single day? Type that in the chat for me. Nice. Look at these. Some of these people are chasing invoices because people aren't paying within the terms, maybe because there was no client understanding to start. Training employees on same new basic stuff. Hear that one a lot. Here's a new one. Clients keep asking questions we've already answered. That's an onboarding issue. Have that checklist for onboarding. There's a new one. Running out of supplies right when we need them. What happens then? You got those rush fees, courier fees, everything else that's costing you money. And the last one that I see on this list here that's really important too is their double booking appointments. Because you didn't have your crew in at the same time, all of a sudden you look and you've got your crew needs to be 2 spots at the same time because you double book. Again, organized chaos. All of these can be captured and put in one single step and systemized. Let me show you exactly how this works with a real transformation. Client, Sarah, construction company, 800K with revenue. Her biggest chaos, project materials arriving late or wrong. So step one, capture, track the material issues for 2 weeks. So we had her do that. She found out she had 23 different problems with deliveries just in that 2-week period. $12,000 in rush fees and delays, and 40 hours spent of her time just dealing with material issues and, making sure the client's happy, everything else. So we looked at this. Yes, this is a high impact because it's costing her money daily. We created the system. Project gets a 75% deposit. Material ordering process was done with 5-day lead times to make sure the materials got there in time and everything else. The template, the standard material list for common projects that she works on. So she just had a template. Here's the normal project. Here's the materials we're going to have pretty much on every project. So she had this template. What did she do? She committed and she used this on every single project for 90 days. After 90 days, she found out she had 0 late deliveries. She gained back that $12,000 in rush fees that she had to pay. She ended up gaining 8 hours per week because she wasn't dealing with all this chaos of the materials not showing up and the materials not being there. And her projects started to finish on schedule consistently. Same business, same team, completely different results. I know what some of you are thinking, Tom, I don't have time to build systems. You don't have the time not to build them. For every hour you spend creating a system, it saves you 10 hours later in your business. Next biggest one that I hear, my business is too complex for simple systems. Complexity isn't chaos wearing a fancy suit. Complexity is chaos wearing a fancy suit. I'm sorry, I said that one wrong. The most successful businesses are often the simplest. They have their nice checklist. They just run through everything. Chaos just makes you look busy. Doesn't mean that they're actually busy. My team won't follow systems. That's not a systems problem. That's a leadership issue, not a system issue. When systems make people's jobs easier, they embrace them. What if the system doesn't work perfectly? It doesn't have to work perfectly. Perfect is the enemy of done. Just having a system out there that works at 80% efficiency is better than having no system at all. Now, here's why this matters beyond just making your days easier. Businesses with systems are actually worth more. Do you ever have the goal of sending your business down the line? Well, if somebody comes in and just sees the chaos and they ask you how many hours a week you work and you tell them 100 hours a week, they're not going to look at it and say, well, why would I do that? Businesses with the systems are worth more. When I'm helping clients prepare for sale, buyers always ask the same question: can this business run without you? The answer is no. The business value drops by 50% or more, depending on the business. But the businesses with documented systems, they sell for premium multiples because buyers see this as investments, not jobs. So what they're looking at when you're trying to sell your business, what buyers are looking at is saying is, okay, what's my return on investment? First, of course, they're going to say, well, the net income, whatever else. But then they're going to look at how much time am I going to have to spend to make that kind of money on my investment? If they're going to have to spend 40 hours of their own time, they're like, well, I've already got other businesses. Why would I invest in this business? They have to spend an hour or two every week. That's a different story. That's why systems help so much. Systems don't just solve today's problems, they build tomorrow's as well. The other side of that is maybe even you don't want to sell a business, but you want to make it more profitable. So you don't have to work in it all the time. Building these systems will make it so that your life is easier and you can make more money. But look, been doing this for years, work with construction company, cleaning companies, manufacturers, even bowling alleys. Every successful business owner I know has the same story. They hit a wall where chaos was killing them. They were in this area right here, doing all that. They were making good money, but they felt broke. They were working all the time, but they weren't going nowhere. They didn't have time for themselves. They didn't have time for the family. Didn't have time to relax. Didn't have time for vacations. Then they implemented systems, not perfect systems, not complicated systems, simple, consistent systems, starting with that number one item that causes them the most headaches. And everything changed. They felt better. Their businesses ran smoother. Their employees were happier because they knew exactly what to do. And if they ever want to sell their business on the line, it's actually worked more. If you want help with this, if you want me to walk through exactly how to build the systems for your specific business, let's talk. I work with business owners just like you every day: construction, cleaning, manufacturing, service business, doing 500,000 to 5 billion. My promise, 90 days, you'll increase your bottom line by 20%, subtract 10 hours from your weekly routine, and build a business that functions without you, babysitting it every single second. Send me a direct message with clarity, and I'll show you exactly how we can transform chaos into cash flow.